We're back and I am so excited to be back. Honestly, I seriously missed recording these podcasts for you guys. I missed interviewing women and interacting with you guys online, seeing how you guys are liking the content. I honestly miss it so much and I'm so sorry. I took about a month hiatus, but we're back and better than ever. To be honest, your girl was falling in love as I was. And honestly, he is such a great guy and he makes me really happy. And I felt like I really, really wanted to talk to you guys about dating as an independent woman, especially now that I'm in a beginning stages of dating someone new and someone who is healthy and navigating that, right? Because I think a lot of us think that falling in love is always like rainbows and butterflies, and it's not, especially if you've come from places that you've been hurt in the past or you don't really trust as easily. So I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this, especially because I've been in therapy and you guys know that I'm a therapy person. And if this is the first episode you hear, you'll hear this theme that I talk about therapy all the time. I think it's the greatest investment that you can do within yourself for the people in your life, right? Because the more you can better yourself, the better that you can show up for people in your life. I really want to show up the best version of myself for my friends, my family, and my future family as well. So I've been in therapy while dating because we don't really get taught how to date. I don't know if I'm the only girly out there, and I'm sure I'm not, but we don't get sit down and told, hey, this is exactly what a healthy dating situation looks like, right? Or what you need to do before even entering a relationship. Or there's a lot of things that you just naturally stumble upon. And for me, I think I really, really wanted to just learn how to properly date in a healthy way with a healthy attachment. When a lot of us have either secure, insecure, or disorganized attachments, and that makes it even harder to date. And then to add in the layer of being a successful woman and having high expectations and the pool just being so much smaller, it becomes difficult. So I really wanted to break up this podcast episode into two parts. So the first part is going to be really focusing on the foundation of you. So we're going to talk about the importance of why it is and how you can dive into more of you and filling up your cup before even starting to date. Setting that foundation before you even jump on your next first date, right? And then part 2 of the episode is really going to get into the mindset of dating and certain, I hate to say rules, but rules that I think that you should have while you're dating and navigating, and just a little mindset that helps you keep your attachment styles in check. I'm not gonna lie, it's been really, really helpful for me. And this is honestly stuff that my therapist has taught me. So shout out to my therapist. You're awesome. It is so important to have a solid foundation with yourself for all relationships that you have in your life. The ones with your parents, siblings, friends, girlfriends, best friends, all the relationships in your life. The more secure you are in yourself, the less you project, the less reactive you become, the more healed you become to be able to show up better for those relationships, right? Because at the end of the day, we're going to get triggered, right? So I think the end goal that I found to be really helpful is really finding that place with yourself that you're happy, regardless of what situation happens in your life, right? And accept the fact that the right person will come along exactly when you need it. And I say this, but I say this with the caveat that I understand that you may have moments where you feel this 100%, but then there's moments, the late night vibes, right? Where you're just really sad because you haven't found that person and you lose a little bit of doubt and feel unsure if you're going to meet this person, especially if you're in your later 20s or in your 30s and you're thinking about when are you going to have kids, biological clock, all these things that cause us to spiral, right? And those are completely valid feelings to have. But if you don't reach that solid place with yourself, right? The only energy that you're going to be invited into your life is energy that may not be healthy or should be welcomed, right? Because when we enter into that mindset of like, when are we going to find our person? You are seeking out of desperation. You're not seeking out of, my cup is full, I'm ready for someone to overflow my cup. You're operating a mindset of like, oh shoot, I'm about to run out of water. What am I going to do, right, to get to this next step? And what you end up doing is you end up drinking poison. And you end up in these toxic situations that will do you no good and will do you so much harm. So it is so important to really try to just accept that the right person is going to come and that you're going to find your happiness. It will come in the exact moment that it's meant to come, right? And we also tell ourselves that we need to be healed enough. I'm healed enough to be able to start talking to people, or I'm not healed enough and I'm not ready to put myself out there. And I hate that phrase because one, you never truly heal. You're never going to truly heal from the situations that have happened in your life or even childhood, right? Those are things that unfortunately do stay with us. And I think the faster we realize that, the faster we can move on and choose to, instead of getting angry at the things or upset or emotional about the things that have happened to us before, I think it's more so of understanding what are our triggers, how do we get triggered, and what are tools that you can use to navigate when you're getting triggered, right? So that you're not becoming explosive or reactive or emotional in those moments, which often happens when we feel like triggered. So something that's really helped me is honestly my faith in God. And I really, really think that the way I've been able to try to adapt that mindset of I'm happy where I'm at, the right person's going to come along and navigate those tough nights is by telling myself that God is present in my life and he's got my back and he's guiding me through the process, right? And I entered that spiral that we all enter of staying up late, listening to the tarot readers, the things that show up on our For You page. Your Prince Charming's coming. This is what he looks like. This is what he's going to do. Everyone has a right to believe what they want to believe. But I believe that leaning into things like that, all it's going to do is give you more anxiety. More anxiety over something you already have so much anxiety about because of your biological clock or because of the expectations of your family or the expectations you put on yourself, right? And that's why I feel like it's been really instrumental for me to just give it to God and tell him that, you know what, I don't know what your plan is, but I know that it's a beautiful one and you're going to give me someone that is completely aligned to me. Sorry, my dog. You're going to give me someone who's completely aligned to me and it's going to be so loving and kind and may even be things that I didn't even anticipate, right? Because oftentimes we have this list, right? Which is an important list to have of your non-negotiables. But are those non-negotiables always things that we necessarily know that we lack in, right? Because a partner should also reflect things that you're lacking. And that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. It really is. So just really trust God, trust the process. And I know it's so harder said than done. And trust me, girlies, I have been there for so long. And I'm in a relationship now, and I know he's probably going to watch this, but nothing in life is forever either. So even if you're in a relationship or not, you always still wonder, is this my person? There should be a point where you don't wonder that, right? But I'm still in a place too where it's so early on. I don't know if he's going to be my husband or whatever, but all I can do is just give it to God and give it my best version every single day, whether that's with a person or while you're looking for your person, and just continue to go from there. The list is important, but the list of non-negotiables should be not expectations, but characteristics of what you want in a man, right? And those are things that are more character based that you cannot teach. You cannot teach a man. You want a good man. And what are qualities of a good man? That's what you have to think about and put on your non-negotiable list. Is he kind? Is he loving? Is he funny? Is he considerate, thoughtful? How does he treat his family? How does he treat you? How does he show up for when you're having a bad day? Things like that are so important. So I think it's focusing on that versus the how much money does he make or what car does he drive? Because things like that can be changed. And men can move mountains when they're in love. And if you have these high expectations and maybe he's not there yet or he is there and you want him to go farther, like us as women, we really have the ability to make that impact on your man. You really do. Like women, we are such mystical creatures. We truly are. And that's part of the feminine energies, inspiring and motivating your man, right? And if you're an ambitious woman, which if you're listening to this, you're going to an attractive man like that. So just don't even worry about it. You got this. So once you have a solid foundation with yourself, you have your non-negotiable list, you understand your triggers, you have those tools, you're in that right mindset, you're in that right mind frame. We are now in the dating pool. Right? And we all look at it as like this super romantic rainbows and butterflies kind of thing. And there are moments that it feels like that. And there will be many moments that it feels like that. And it should. But there's also moments that you're evaluating this person and navigating if this person is for you, right? So the first 3 months really, or the first month is really just getting to know each other, seeing if interest is there, seeing if it's a trajectory upward of interest. You guys are going on dates. It should be like once a week. I think everyone talks about that's super healthy. If it's once every 2 weeks, every now and then, that's also okay in the first month. But it should be slowly going upward. 2 months is when you guys should start meeting friends. 3 months is when it should start. It should be pretty much him asking you to be his girlfriend, right? And then from like the 3 to 6 month rule is seeing if you can keep up with everything that he did in the first 3 months to be able to first get you. But you have to respect that dating flow because one, it gives you time to be able to analyze the situation, right? And listen, you're going to be dating guys that you date for 3 months, but maybe you don't want him to be your boyfriend, right? Because as you're dating him, you see that he has things that are not necessarily appealing to you, right? But you should give yourself that time and that space to slowly analyze it. And honestly, there's this thing that I do with my therapist, and she taught me this, and I love her for this, but we have red, yellow, and green flags. So we all know what red flags are. We all know what green flags are. And yellow are just more so of things that you want to put a pin in and just continue to evaluate, right? So an example of a yellow flag would be something that is not necessarily bad, but it's also not necessarily good, right? For example, if it's been 3 months and you haven't met his friends yet, right? But he's also introverted. Let's put a little yellow flag on that, right? Because you want to make sure that he wants to introduce you to his friends and wants you to be involved in his life, right? But maybe there's circumstances that hasn't allowed for the opportunity yet. And that's okay. But put a yellow flag, put a pin in it, right? So that you can come back and evaluate it later. And then there's red flags that you're just kind of like, all right, that's not healthy at all, right? Is it something that you can turn into a yellow or a green flag, right? Is it maybe just not understanding? Is it a communication style that's lacking there? If not, then you got to cut that man off. But that's the whole thinking, right? So as you're talking to someone, you got to be 70% invested in the situation, but 30% with yourself. And I think this is always, right? Because you should never lose yourself in a relationship. You should always have that foundation of you. Always. And as you're dating, right, you're 70 in, right? But then that 30% is still analyzing. Is he keeping up with the things that he needs to do? Is he stepping up the way he needs to do it? Is this a yellow flag? Is this a red flag? And pinning it and having conversations around it if that's where you are in the relationship. But it's little things like that that really help you as you're navigating new relationships with people. And as you're analyzing these flags, know that no one is perfect. No one is perfect. And I think that especially us being so driven and high achieving and used to kind of aiming for perfection, right? Again, no one's perfect, but aiming for it, that can sometimes show up in our intimate relationships, right? Because we have these expectations, not non-negotiables. That was a double negative. But we have these expectations that are not non-negotiables, and it really does not allow the other person to show up the way that they want to show up. It causes us to get upset for them not showing up the way that's authentic to them because it wasn't exactly the way we wanted. And then we could potentially tarnish a relationship when the intentions were good. Right? And that is just merely a communication style or desire that can be edited later, right? Because I think the important part is that this person wants to be a part of your life and wants to make you happy, right? And again, no one's going to be perfect and no one can read your mind, right? And I think that society tells us your man needs to act in an XYZ way. If not, he's out. And I think that it comes with good intentions, people talking about that, but I think that when you skew too much into that movement or into a sprinkle movement, it could be damaging because you're not really allowing the space for something to organically and naturally grow, right? And it causes you to be more hesitant and cause more push and pull in a relationship that could potentially be really healthy. And I know this to be true because I did it. I did it in the beginning of this relationship. And I know that this is just what I needed to go through with him for me to become a better and more healed version of myself. But at the end of the day, it was still hurtful to the other person who had very beautiful intentions, right? So I think we need to be very careful with the way that we have certain expectations and try to open up our mind to allow someone to show up more authentically for them or whatever that means for them. And I really think the most important thing also that I actually got told this recently in the last year, and it really stayed with me. And I was at work and we did a wrap-up party for a production, and the director of this production company, which I hope to have on very soon, we were talking about relationships, and she is such an independent woman and such a powerful woman. And she's really such an inspiration and so creative and beautiful inside out. And she's in a relationship and she's been married for many years at this point and works with her partner. And I remember asking her, how does that work? I don't remember exactly how I asked her, but I asked her how they are able to show up with each other in work life and for it to be so balanced and so healthy. And I know it's like an intimate question to ask someone that you work with, right? But productions make you really, really close. And she just told me that a lot of the times that people expect your partner to be everything. You want this person to be all in one. And the reality is it's not fair to put that weight on somebody that you want to be your partner, right? Because that's a huge responsibility. And what if that person can't necessarily show up in certain ways that you crave? Doesn't make the relationship unhealthy. That's just not the way that they want to show up. And that's why we have other relationships in our lives, right? We have our parents, we have our siblings, and we have our best friends and friends in our lives. And they also fill other parts of us for us, right? And I'm not talking about things that are required for a relationship, right? Where you feel triggered and you want to talk about that trigger, right? But there's certain things that I wouldn't necessarily talk to my man about, but I would love to talk with my best friend, right? And that's okay. that's really okay. And I think it just kind of goes back to releasing the expectations that you have for that person and just literally allowing them to show up, but just post checking with yourself along the way with the foundation of you following the 70-30 rule, and sure that you still have that foundation with yourself and that this person's intention is beautiful and is kind and comes from a loving and healthy space, and you'll do okay. But I know that this is something that I honestly am still continuing to learn, and maybe we'll do a post check as months go by. But I think that no matter if you are in a fresh relationship, these are all things that honestly I'm recently learning. It's things that I'm also hoping that I can continue to build on and learn more from. And I welcome being triggered and getting anxious and feeling those feelings, because those are the moments that make me grow. And I think that you're going to see that when you enter those spaces of uncomfortable, that you're also going to grow and transform as well. So with that, I appreciate you guys listening to today's episode. Seriously, we have super fun things planned, such as a membership that is launching very, very soon called the Founders Club. And it's going to be for small business owners, founders, and creators that are looking to take their social media to the next level, or really their brand to the next level. We're going to be providing so many tools for you guys, and it is going to be a paid exclusive membership, and it's going to be so dope. So I'm really excited to be launching that, and we'll continue to have some amazing, powerful women on the podcast. But with that, thank you so much, everyone, for listening again. Seriously, every listener, you guys have my heart, and thank you guys. Bye.